Welcome to the Nerd Party.
A Doctor Who podcast. I'm Jessica Nunn.
And I'm her husband and co-host, Phillip Gilfus. Well, for today's episode, we're going to be talking about Season 13, and then we're going to be talking about Season 13.
Okay, well that's an interesting choice. I like it.
So, we're going to be talking about Season 13, which is the second series starring the Fourth Doctor, which took place 1975 to 1976. And for our Inside the TARDIS library, we're going to be talking about the upcoming Series 13, which will take place presumably from 2021 to 2022.
Or 2021 to 2023 or 4. Who knows how long it'll last.
All right. But as we said, this is our, starting with the 70s, Season 13. This is our second full season with the Fourth Doctor. And it almost feels like it's a little bit longer. I don't mean that in a bad way. But what do you think about sort of our sophomore effort with the Fourth Doctor?
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. These sort of blended together a little bit, and there was one that reminded me a lot. I think this is how I feel about it. Since they've released the TARDIS from Earth, the writers have taken every opportunity to throw in all sorts of random scientists in space, a lot of scientists in space, which gives you the chance for creatures, of course, but I think it does all. There hasn't been, we're not learning about different civilizations.
Okay. Yes.
Alien civilizations so much as we're rescuing all the dumbass scientists in space.
Colin. Now, we did get a few, not a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
We did get a few trips home.
Yes, and those I enjoyed more. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, this, in fact, if I'm correct, I may not be correct,
Probably
but I believe
not.
This may be one of our final unit stories, at least for the Brigadier and Benton and all that. We're not going to see them for an awfully long time after this.
Yeah, that's sad.
So, it's sort of interesting. But I don't know. What are you still thinking of the Fourth Doctor as we've come to know him now? You know.
Yeah, he's fine. Again, because we're getting all these scientists in space, he obviously has a lot more experience with everything out beyond the Earth. And so he tends to know things but not reveal them in any way, shape, or form. And that happens over and over again, which again I'm just finding a little bit repetitive. Like you say, when they're back on Earth and everybody is familiar with something, I find that more interesting than nobody knows anything except the Doctor, and he's not telling, or if he does tell, nobody believes him.
And how would you compare so far the third and fourth Doctor? Because I feel like when we watched the third Doctor, we sort of, gained a new appreciation. He was sort of new to all of us in some ways, and so we all enjoyed him. But the fourth Doctor, who again we somewhat know, but watching this in order, are you getting any new appreciation, or do you have a favorite, or?
I don't think I'm gaining a new appreciation yet. I'm aware we've got plenty of time.
Yeah, we are in the second of 7 seasons.
Yeah, we've got time for him to grow on me. And again, for the reasons I've stated, he just doesn't always give information. And
I'll explain later.
Yeah, and I'm finding that a little frustrating. Oh, I'm not going to tell you now, but I have a bad feeling about it. You know, those, that seems to happen an awful lot. And, but I went into this thinking I was probably going to quite enjoy him, so I'm expecting to.
Okay.
I haven't.
I was going to thought you were going to say, "Oh, now I'm disappointed."
Yeah,
But,
no, I'm still expecting to. I have high hopes. I have high hopes.
Well, then this is the third season with Miss Sarah Jane Smith,
Whom I love.
so still going on. How do you think? The third Doctor and her only had one season. This is the second season with her and the 4th Doctor. Do you think, what are the different dynamics, or do you think there are different dynamics?
I do think there are different, but again, I think it all goes back to exactly the same thing I was saying. With the 3rd Doctor, they were on Earth almost exclusively. And so she comes in with some knowledge.
Right.
Whereas with this one, particularly in this season, I don't think I felt it quite as much last season. She has to do a lot of running and screaming.
Right.
And I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Particularly for Sarah Jane, because she's such a great character. So I don't think she's had as much opportunity to spread those tiny wings and fly away, kind of thing.
Well, not trying to be spoilery, but she only has one season left.
Well, then I hope that they make good use of her.
And this has just been her and the Doctor, so we sort of got rid of Harry last season.
Yes.
So this is just the two of them.
And I think I'm not sure necessarily that they made the right call on that. Again, because the Doctor's the know-it-all. And so I think that having somebody that Sarah Jane could play against would have been a good thing.
Yeah, sort of had the rapport with Harry that was sort of, old girl and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes rescuing him. So we did get a Harry appearance. We'll talk about it.
Yes.
But,
and I think that interplay could have been quite useful in this season.
So, let's get into the specifics here, and we won't necessarily go in-depth on everything, but just sort of touch on everything here. The first series, or the first story, was Terror of the Zygons. So this was sort of the first appearance of the Zygons. I believe. I say that. I feel like that's right. But anyway, and so, we sort of know them from New Who, with the Day of the Doctor and all that stuff. But anyway, but what did you think of, we get our Scottish adventure, and we get sort of this made-up town. Well, we find out eventually that it's a made-up town. And we get the Zygons. What do you think about with the sort of fake people, the fake town members and all that?
Yeah, I liked this one a lot. I found this one quite interesting. Again, going back to it's, at least on the surface, a more homegrown, earthbound story. And so there are some aspects of familiarity. And yeah, this is one that I really enjoyed, actually. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, and we get sort of, the Brigadier and Doctor and Sarah and Harry. And if I remember, we sort of get if memory recalls, this is sort of Harry's farewell, which sort of just seems to be sort of like, you have this big adventure, and it's like, all right, time to go back to the TARDIS. And Harry's like, I'm good.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Okay, well, all right. Yeah. We don't sort of get any goodbye as much as like, okay, well, all right.
Yeah. Off we go, and we'll never mention you again.
Well, you'll get mentioned more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we get the Loch Ness Monster, because of course not.
Yeah.
Of course, why not? Cool. And then we get Planet of Evil. So I think we did not do the synopsis for the other one. Let's do Planet of Evil. So I'll say it's very short. Picking up a distress call from the edge of the known universe, the Doctor and Sarah Jane find themselves on Zeta Minor, where a geological team has run afoul of some strange goings on. So this is, I I was going to say stereotypical Doctor Who. At this point in our viewing, it's not necessarily stereotypical, but you sort of get alien planet, jungle planet in this case, because there's only like 3 kinds of planets: jungle planet, desert planet, cold
quarry planet.
Exactly, and cold planet. But anyway, but I think this was sort of interesting in that I always like it sometimes where they just sort of start with the story, like it's not the Doctor story yet. They start with whatever's going on, you know, and you get that sort of feel, and then the Doctor appears, maybe after the title sequence or something.
Yeah.
And so you sort of establish what's going on before getting into it.
And this is our first one in this season of scientists mucking up things on other planets.
Yes, yeah.
Which we got several of last season as well. But,
it kind of reminded me of, now I'm forgetting the name of it, the Doctor Who special, Mission to the Unknown. The one without the Doctor, the one that they redid, the college students redid, where it was with the Daleks. But, because it was the one without the Doctor where it's kind of almost the same thing. They have these 2 people, or, scientists or colonists or researchers, and then there's like the monster or something, and then the Daleks end up coming up. Because I don't know if they're controlling the monster. It's been a second. But anyway, kind of the same thing where they're just sort of killing off one by one by one, and there's a last guy left at the end, and then the dogs just get them. But kind of the same thing.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the one where it was like the monster was just a guy covered in netting. Right.
There's a few of them, to be sure.
Yeah. But it was another jungle planet kind of idea. But yeah, they do sort of...
I mean, it's a lot of, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of set to do to create a jungle.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And so you think they just got it handy. And I think my issue with them is that it ends up being a lot of scientific jargon that we're not expected to understand. Like even scientists couldn't, because it's obviously science fiction, science jargon.
Or even fantasies, because, I don't know. Like Star Trek, it's like theoretically it's made up and can be real, even though, I mean, we're making it up enough that it sounds real. Yes. Whereas this is just like flibbity flobbity flibbity flops.
Yes, yeah.
Our technobabble sounds real, dang it.
And theirs sounds a little bit like T.S. Eliot, you think. But there's so much of it, that's so much of the story, that I lose interest. Whereas, if there's a little bit of science mumbo jumbo that advances the plot, I can sort of let it wash over me and move on. But this is all about...
Yeah, this one's sort of like there's the antimatter universe, which again...
Elasticity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then the electric boogaloo monster.
Yeah, and now you're in coffins and we're going to chuck you out into space.
So, I mean, it's like I said, it wasn't boring or bad, but it's
a little
regular.
Samey. Yeah.
Regular.
Yeah.
It's a regular.
It's a regular.
So the next one up is Pyramids of Mars. So you want to read that little?
I do. In a Victorian Gothic mansion, strange things are afoot. The master of the house, away in Egypt, has been replaced by a sinister Egyptian. Cloth-wrapped mummies roam the grounds, killing people. Beneath a pyramid, the last of the sirens, Sutek the Destroyer, waits to be freed, to at long last bring his gift of death to all who live.
So I feel like this is one of those Fourth Doctor stories that sort of like if, you read like what are the top 10, this is on the list.
Yeah, I can see that. Because it's sort of like Doctor Who has a murder mystery. And I quite like that. And again, I liked the humanity. You've got the master of the house's brother, right?
Yes, yeah.
Who is because the Egyptian, the sinister Egyptian, looks like the master of the house. And so the brother is desperate to save him. And so there's this humanity feel to it.
The doctor's like, he's already dead. Don't even try it.
Yeah.
And he's like, but it's my brother.
Yes. Those were excellent impressions, by the way, baby. So yeah, I quite liked this one.
And I think it helps to sort of have almost different jumping off points, because I liked that you had the background of like, Sarah Jane, because I think it's always the joke, Sarah Jane walks out of the TARDIS in some wardrobe expecting to be in someplace else. There's sort of a long over the franchise of Doctor Who.
I was going to say that's a running joke for all of the companions.
Expects, but anyway, they're supposed to go to unit. Technically, they are where unit is, just in the wrong time, and it's like where unit is, but before unit, the building was there, so it's this castle or house or mansion or whatever the heck it was.
Manor, darling.
Manor, sure.
Manor.
Yes. And so you start in the manor, but then you also have the village or wherever. And then you go across timey spacey to where Sutek is. And so you just create all those different scenes, and you have sort of the warping tomb or the sarcophagus.
Sarcophagus, yeah. And the sneaky bookcase that turns into a door entrance, that, yeah. Doctor Who meets a murder mystery.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did like this one. Of course, I think a joke is sort of like, Sutek seems to be able to get all, like, for someone who's stuck, he's able to, like, throw stuff into the other dimension. Like, can he just throw himself in the other dimension?
Yeah.
But it's also interesting to sort of meet sort of this big villain. I mean, like, it's so often in these stories, the Doctor's facing, honestly, small villains or ones he could probably take. But this is sort of like a super being. And so this one he sort of really had to,
work for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, next is the Brain of Morbius. So, mad scientist Mahendri Solon is building a body from spare parts to house the disembodied brain of the evil Time Lord Morbius. He fancies the Doctor's head as the final piece.
This was Doctor Who meets Frankenstein.
Yes.
Obviously. This particular, because, how many evil Time Lords are wandering around, right? Because there's the Omega.
Right. I mean, he's sort of king of the evil Time Lords, but yes.
Oh, he's the king of the evil Time Lord.
I just feel like this is, Morbius is regular evil Time Lord.
Right. Oh, okay. But we never get to know, like, why he's evil, and I'm sad about that.
That's true. Maybe they mentioned it, but they didn't really get into it.
And I sort of feel like, otherwise you just have a two-dimensional villain, and that's never quite as much fun. This is where we do get to see the
Sisters of Karn.
Thank you, Sisters of Karn, which I thought was interesting.
I think especially, well, for us, I won't speak for you, but for me, because I'm not that familiar with them. I mean, honestly, the 8th Doctor mini episode during the 50th was kind of the first time I saw them. And so it's interesting to then go back to the origins here.
Yes.
And see how it all comes. And because the, I don't know, the sister, the main character of the Sisters of Karn is sort of a new Who, because she kind of pops up again with the 12th Doctor a little bit. I mean, that was sort of interesting, but yeah, I just think it's nice to see where, and you're like, oh, yeah, they're obviously are following what they did,
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the eternal flame, and
eternal life, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, you just need a match, yo.
You clean up the whatever.
Yeah, get the soot out of the flue, I think is how these things work. And and so this was sort of fighting against the Sisters of Karn a little bit. This was fighting against the Dr. Frankenstein, and then fighting against Morbius. But it wasn't too terribly confusing.
No, I think the only thing that, it just got old going back and forth so much.
Yes.
I feel like they did need to twist, well, because, as many antagonists, as you say, that there are, and which is fine, the Sisters Karn capture, and then Stallon's capturing him, and then at the end, but then, I don't know, I feel like Morbius is kind of like, doesn't really get his due as he could have. I mean, he just turns into lizard, bug, as Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
I mean, literally Frankenstein's monster, but at the end of Frankenstein, it's not very interesting. I would just push him over a cliff or something. Like, it wasn't the biggest threat in the world.
Send him off on an ice cube thing. Yeah.
And I mean, I get what they're doing, but I don't know what the, and I don't even forget his name, what the assistant really brings to the table.
Igor.
Yeah. I don't know. I get what they're doing, but it's just...
Yeah, I mean, if he had turned out to be the big hero or something, maybe, but he doesn't really. Yeah, I don't know. Just a big galoot.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. And I get this is the 70s, so it can't be like in 2021. That's so tired. Maybe it was new then, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just like the not very smart person we've sort of seen, and we don't want to make fun of the people. I mean, you took the guy's bloody arm, for goodness sake, and put it on the monster.
Yep.
And yeah, it would have just been interesting. Like I'm thinking back to, and again, not this is original. But I'm thinking back to the third Doctor story, which I'm blanking on. I think it was the last story, Planet of the Spiders? But anyway, because you had the Algernon guy, where... Oh,
right,
the not very smart guy that was in the house where all the men's meditation...
thing, yeah.
And he's an I mean, they use him fairly correctly.
I want to say he was called Tom.
Yeah, but then he sort of gets the power of whatever, and suddenly becomes. Which I'm not saying you have to change the character to make him better, but just having the the slow character, it is you got to have something there to make some sweetness, and not just be like, oh, he's slow. I'm like, okay. Well.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't he give Sarah Jane something that ultimately turns out to save the day?
Yeah, because I think he gets the crystal or something.
Yeah. But you're not wrong. That was sort of an Algernon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so maybe these guys are just going to the library a lot.
Are you saying writers are not original?
Oh, isn't that the idea, is that there are only 7 original ideas and everything else is just a reboot?
Yeah, I mean, it's what Shakespeare did, so
Oh, God, yeah.
Went to the bookstore. I can make this.
Do I know anybody who speaks Italian?
So yeah, I mean, this one was all right as well. I think it could have just been polished a little bit more, just to give it some oomph with all these characters. But then they don't necessarily make it a little more oomphy.
And possibly could have used a little bit more pacing.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you have that many. When you have, we'll obviously always complain in classic who, it's so slow, and there's but like when you have this many characters, you can do something then. Yeah. You got the time. Yeah. Learn a little bit more about the sisters.
Yes.
I mean, I can't remember any of the characters' name, but like the assistant sister of the Karn, the second in command, she just gets
like maybe we should try new things.
Yeah.
No.
And then she just gets stomped by the Morbius, and that's the end of her. And I'm like, oh God, that was quite the end for her. Okay.
Bless.
But yeah. And then we get the Seeds of Doom.
Here we go. When scientists in the Antarctic uncover a mysterious seed pod, the Doctor is called in to investigate. He soon realizes it is an extraterrestrial and extremely dangerous. At the same time, however, ruthless millionaire plant lover Harrison Chase has learned of the find and decides he must have the pod for his collection of rare and beautiful flora. Meanwhile, the pod itself harbors intelligent life with sinister plans of its own.
Now, this one was unusual for this season. It was a 6-parter as opposed to the 4-parter that we usually go for. So, I don't know, did it seem... I mean, it seems long. It did seem... I mean, but did it seem long in a bad way?
Again, this was a little bit scientists messing with things that they don't need to be messing with. Although, I sort of wanted it to go, and, maybe it was not a thing that people were aware of in the 70s, but, there's the idea that global warming is causing so much in Antarctica and other ice caps and things to melt that it ultimately is releasing diseases that have been frozen and eradicated through the freezing. And so we're going to have more of a problem with diseases that we aren't expecting to showing up. And that would have been an interesting direction for this to go in. Mm-hmm. That was sort of how this felt like it started. This was scientists run amok plus a little bit of Benny Hill.
Well, you had and again, this isn't a complaint. It just sort of seemed like it was two put into one, which is fine. Because you sort of had the Antarctic part, which I forget how many parts it took. I'll say like 3 parts. I don't know if that's right. But, that was... And then
48. I counted. It was 48 of the parts.
And then that sort of blew up at the end. And then like, okay, and then for the rest of the parts, we're going to be over here at the manor of the crazy guy.
The millionaire plant lover.
Right.
Darling.
And then I think sort of... I don't want to call him comic relief, but he almost is that way if you're in a certain mood. His head thug.
Yeah, the bad guys are... And you're right, it does feel quite disjointed.
I mean, his thug definitely kills people, but he's like, this guy.
Yeah. And then you've got the artist woman.
Oh, yes, that was a sort of a random storyline.
Yep.
But, I mean, it's not in a bad way, necessarily.
It was just this is where you get sort of the Benny Hill, it's not enough that we have this random extraterrestrial plant that's trying to kill us and take over everything. We also have to deal with the zany millionaire plant lover who keeps trying to steal it. And so then the zany artist has to go in, quote unquote, undercover to try and thwart those. We got a lot of big fish to fry. That plant thing keeps growing and growing and great. Can we stay focused?
Leave it alone.
Stop that.
But yeah, I think with this one, were I to cut it, or prune it, if you will.
Don't stop that, baby. That's ugly. Don't do that.
The Sarah Jane and the Doctor running around the manor, getting caught, and then escaping, and then running around the manor, and then getting caught on the grounds of the manor.
Yeah.
And then the getting
See, Benny Hill,
and then getting multiple times to get fed into the
plant grinder, yes.
The mulch? What's it?
Yeah, the mulch maker grinder.
Yes. Compost.
Not dissimilar to the coffins they were in at the beginning of the season.
Also,
also not dissimilar to the whoosh whoosh Edgar Allan. What's the one? The Edgar Allan Post.
Pendulum.
Pit and the Pendulum. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, it seems to me, I mean, I don't know, sometimes they sort of, kill people without us batting an eye. I'm pretty sure a unit guy just gets fed into the compost thing. I'm like, what? Do we just kill a guy? Okay. Well, okay.
These things happen, baby.
I was like, that kind of got... Because I felt like that must be very clean what it does, because I figured that would have been, covered in blood by the time we next saw it. Unless... But anyway.
The housekeeper comes in and cleans it.
Well, because, this is...
It's the sister of the big thug guy.
I don't know when, what's-her-face, the woman who's going to complain about violence.
Oh, right. Yes.
This is what I'd kind of be like, I mean, I don't know if... Yeah, because, a unit guy clearly got killed. I don't know if I want kids to be watching that. I mean, I'm not trying to be
Well, maybe they'll learn not to get too close
to the compost thing.
To the giant steel compost thing that you've got in the laundry room.
I guess. But yeah. So, but yeah, I thought it was, again, if you could cut a little bit, it was good. Obviously, we're still playing with our color separation overlay.
Yes, yeah.
Big old plant. Monster.
Giant plant monster.
So,
yeah.
But it was good. So, yeah, that was more or less series 13 of the Fourth Doctor. And so, next is season 14.
Because that's the way numbers work.
Yeah, it is true. And I got the Blu-ray. It's already over there. So, whenever we get the chance to start it, whenever that may be, we got
a lot going on here. We got the mask of Mandragora, then the hand of fear, then the Deadly Assassin,
which we've
then
seen
the
before.
Face of Evil, the Talons of Weng Chiang.
Yes, and then that's what
and then the Robots of Death. There's a lot of nouns in there.
And you'll get introduced to the next companion.
Who is it?
Well,
Layla?
Yep. So we will find out. All right. Well, with that, let's go into the TARDIS library.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh.
When you close your eyes,
I go to the library.
go to the library now.
And as we go to the series 13 of New Who, which I know it's not very new at this point because it's been 13 seasons.
Yep. Also, all we're doing in the TARDIS library right now is gossiping, and
Exactly.
I'm excited.
So, no news for anyone who's been keeping up, of course, that it has been announced that with this upcoming season, sometime this year, beginning, we will say goodbye to the 13th Doctor, which we all kind of assumed. But
3 years now, yeah.
Yeah, but we did not necessarily know that we'd be saying goodbye to the showrunner.
That's true.
Chris Chibnall will leave at the end of this series. Sort of the details we've gotten is that there are going to be 6 episodes. Another short, and I've heard it could be one big story.
Okay.
That's what I've heard.
One overarch.
Yes. And in addition to that, then there will be 3 specials in 2022, which they've probably said when it is. I just can't remember. So it's probably going to be like, New Year's sometime in the spring. And then I don't think it's going to be a Christmas special. I think it's some sort of BBC anniversary, which it's going to be September or some odd non-holiday time.
Yeah, well, and Chibnall is defiantly refusing to do Christmas specials.
That's true.
So that's not necessarily surprising.
He was the one during that childhood. But anyway.
Who was the showrunner for Eccleston?
Russell.
It was Russell. So so all we've had are Russell and Stephen Moffat, and now Chris Chibnall. So this is a really pretty short
One Doctor
show run.
Yeah, where everyone else got 2.
Yeah.
No, I mean you could say Russell, of course, just did 1 year with Chris. So
right, but still.
Yeah.
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 Bit of a short run.
So
and I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And that's fine.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
It'll be all right. I just don't feel like ultimately Chibnall settled in.
No.
I think that he does some things brilliantly for other shows. Broadchurch loved it.
Yeah.
He just
Torchwood was different, and there's a certain part, and I like that.
Yeah, I liked Torchwood.
He was the de facto showrunner for Torchwood.
Yeah, and I liked Torchwood a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Just hasn't.
Yeah, I don't
know why.
Threaded that needle.
Sometimes that's just the way it happens. The thing you think you're going to be best at.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying I shouldn't showrun a Star Trek series?
Well, I don't know. I'm saying that I tried to save an outdoor theater that I wanted to save since I was 13 and I failed. And somebody else has come along and is doing a better job of it. And as much as it breaks my heart that I couldn't do it, I'm happy it's happening. And so hopefully Chris Chibnall feels the same way.
Yeah, and so we'll get our new companion for this final season.
Yes.
I've already forgotten his name and the actor's name.
John.
I want to say, but I can't remember. I'm not looking at it.
No, I can see his face. Bishop.
Yep.
John Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Ha!
There you go. So I forget the character's name.
I don't know that I've ever known it.
No. So we'll see. And then
Yaz and John Bishop.
Yep. And then they've introduced. I don't know if it's necessarily the bad guy, but I didn't know. Of course, wow. Not that I would know British actors, but they've introduced him as well.
Yes.
So at least a person of interest, whether that's the villain or not.
POI.
I guess. So, yeah. So what, I don't know. I'm sure our expectations are low. But
They are. Although, I'm hoping to get more clarity with the TARDIS being less crowded. Mm-hmm. And again, of course, only less crowded by one, technically.
Yes.
Which is, again, not to say I loved all 3 of the companions and all 3 of the actors who played them, but because there were so many, there wasn't a chance to really properly explore And so perhaps we'll get that. I really hope we get it with Yaz. Whether or not we get it with John Bishop, I'm sort of indifferent. But again, I felt that way about Graham, so I don't know.
Now, I guess, that's what I'm emphasizing. So I would assume we're not going to have any more, if there's going to be a different showrunner, presumably they're not going to carry over anyone.
Yeah, that's usually an all change, isn't it?
That wasn't always true in classic Who times, necessarily.
You're right.
But, presumably this is the last season for Yaz as well. And John Bishop. He may very well be great and wonderful, just like Bill was in the last season of 12.
Bill.
Yeah, but,
who'd be great together? Bill and Yaz.
There you go.
That would be a fun combo in the TARDIS.
And, so how do we feel about learning to say goodbye to 13?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
a lot can happen. It really, really can. I was not particularly crazy about Peter Capaldi until his last season, and then I was really sad to see him go. Because I don't think, nothing against him at all. I don't feel like, I didn't like him and Clara together, and again, I love Clara with Matt Smith. None of, it's just about the chemistry. I'm not trying to disparage anybody. But then you put Peter Capaldi in with Bill Potts and Nardole, and it was just great. And I thoroughly enjoyed that last season. And then I was really sad to see Peter Capaldi go. So, yeah, I don't necessarily have high expectations, but I'm up for anything. And while I'm saying right now, I'm sad to see Jodie go, mostly because I don't feel like she got her just desserts.
Yeah, it's because I felt like at the end of 12, well, this is my opinion, the gruff doctor and the one who you didn't like and he didn't like you. But at the end, you did sort of learn to really like him, and he had this, the very sort of, like you said, with Bill, and then with the relationship with Missy that was sort of very tender, and you sort of showed this other side. Even when him and Nardole sort of had this sort of sweet relationship, they pretend to hate each other, but
they were delightful.
And so when he said goodbye, the be kind and all that. But with 13, she's just. Nothing against Jodie, of course. She's just one note. I don't know if that we've.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you say with the last season of 12, you got to see a different side of him. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure we've seen a side of the 13th Doctor.
Which is sad, because she's had stuff where she could have had sides. I'm not to retread old ground. But, when even in her previous season, when you had The Master and you had The Fall of Gallifrey, but then she's just quiet about it, and I was like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I don't know what you're feeling, I don't know what you're thinking.
And again, the combination of Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall should have been magical. Mm-hmm. They were, they both were involved with Broadchurch. Thank you. I'd gone off, and so it should have been, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I'm sad about it because, again, I think so much of both of them. I think more of Jodie than I do of Chris Chibnall, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm sad she didn't get her chance.
And I don't know, maybe she'll just show us a whole lot in these 9 stories that are left.
Yeah.
So,
well, you say 9. If you assume that the specials are about an hour and a half. If you assume that the specials are about an hour and a half each. Mm-hmm. So then that's like 4.5. So it's like 10.5, not 9.
Yeah. So.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Do we want to engage in who will be the next Doctor?
No, not yet. I did see something on Twitter where somebody suggested, I think she's been on there before. I'm trying to think what else she's been in. She was in, with David Tennant, sexy guy, sexy Spanish. Yes, she was the crazy girl in Casanova.
Okay.
Who ends up like running a club or something, being incredibly wealthy. Because she was the words are not coming to my head.
Anyway,
Castrati.
Oh.
Is that right? The singer.
Okay.
That everybody thought was a boy.
Okay.
But then
the
she
one
wasn't
that
a boy.
fathered his child.
Yes.
Or, you know what I mean.
Yes.
He fathered her. Anyway.
Yes.
And then
Somebody suggested her, and I was like, oh, she'd be very good.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the, do we go back to white man?
Somebody also suggested Nate from Ted Lasso.
Oh, wow. Nate Mohammed. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So, well, and the thing is, new showrunner will cast whoever he or she.
That would be amazing, a female showrunner.
Yeah, I just don't know if, obviously, why would I? Well, I think this will be, what do I know? I don't know anything. But I think this will be a break of tradition, because usually it's been sort of the person who writes a lot of Who gets taken, Moffat was all over Russell's Who, and then Chris was all over Stevens, and then so there's no person next in line, because Chris wrote pretty much everything. Yep. He had a lot of good people that came in, but, and Who, maybe it's one of them, but I don't think so necessarily. I think they're all writers. I don't know if they're necessarily showrunners, which is, I think, well, again, I'm talking off the top of my head, which means I'm probably wrong. Russell had some experience. Stephen did not, that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of. Feel free to tell me I'm wrong, Internet. He'd been writing so much but he never had his own show that I know of. And again, I could be wrong. Chris obviously had done shows, and so then it was just sort of, but I don't necessarily know that anyone has been writing on 13 that has experience with their own show.
We'll see.
Yeah, and so
we'll see.
Do you bring in an outsider? Do you bring in your first Can you not be a Doctor Who fan and showrun Doctor Who?
No, I don't think so. Because I think that to be a good showrunner, you have to know the history.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I've got to say about that. It has so much history, you can't just come in as a blank slate.
Right.
I think that would be a mistake. You could do it, but I think it would be a mistake.
I think I could do it, but it would be a mistake?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still watching, so we're catching up.
Yeah,
so.
Indeed.
All right. Well, that's been our speculation hour.
Yep, our gossip time.
But anyway, well, until next time, continue watching all the Doctor's many adventures throughout time and space.
This is BBC Television.